Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. I want to thank again. We got some new subscribers this week, and thanks to the folks who have been supporting this wacky thing, and with leaving comments and all these things, and I really appreciate it. It's super fun. I get excited every day to do a new video. I'm always thinking of new ideas, always kind of moving forward. I'm going to be doing next weekend. I got a special guest coming on the show. I'm going to do another interview segment. I did a show. This is actually going to be the second take of it. I had a really great guest. I'm not going to announce it or say anything about it until the video is done so I don't jinx it. But I had a really great guest, a friend who put out an electronic album earlier this year that's really, really great. And Spencer Roulard, I'll just say his name. He's a really great local talent. And he put out a really great album this year, which is a really great electronica album. And we did I think it might have been almost a month ago now, but we'd set up an interview to do a show, and we did the interview. It was about an hour, and it was really great. He's been on the show before, really great talent. And I had some technical fuck ups on my end. Basically, the video didn't really record, so we're gonna shoot for a week from this coming Sunday to do another video review, another video interview. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be doing, maybe a little bit of promotion for that, but that will be up. And I have a couple of other ideas to do to set up for some interviews, which I really, really love doing. The interview segments are obviously a lot more challenging because of scheduling and things like that. So, and I usually like to do the interviews. I try to do them in person. Sometimes you can't really always line that up. Obviously, some guests that I've had, there's been a couple of guests that I've had on the show that were out of state, so we'll do like a phone kind of interview. But anyway, I'm looking forward to doing that. And one of the things that I love so much about doing this channel, and just being a collector of movies and always trying to check out new things. Again, I'm kind of, I guess, when it comes to horror films, I'm kind of a traditionalist, I guess, where, and especially when it comes to exploitation movies, like that's my love. I really love independent, really low budget, down and dirty exploitation movies. But like I've said a million times, I try to always stay current. I don't stream movies. I go to the movies. I've been going to the movies more often. And then as far as movies that I miss in the theater, I usually always rent movies at Opera House Video in Belfast, which is the only video shop in the state of Maine. So I usually go there, a couple times a month, sometimes more, sometimes less. It just depends. I usually have to wait a little while because I usually just go there to rent new releases, new movies. So, movies that I miss in the theater, I usually always get when they get a release, on DVD or Blu-ray. I'll always see them. So I try to really stay contemporary because I do think that there are new things coming out, new films that are always coming out that are always good. With social media, we're so inundated by so many new things that come out, and there's, I think it's a safe thing to say that there's more stuff coming out now than ever, and you kind of have to sift through stuff more, whether it's music or films or what have you. And, there's a lot of movies and things that I've talked about, especially the older films that I cover, where I'm like, you know what, this probably could not be made today, or they couldn't get away with maybe some of the taboo subjects that are covered in those films, and I think that's pretty true. But then again, I'm really surprised by certain films that come out and certain things that I've been discovering where I'm like, wow, where did this come from? This is extraordinary. I think one of those great examples is, as far as really new, fresh ideas, is last year's The Substance with Demi Moore. Brilliant film. Probably my favorite film of last year. But that being said, I've seen some really fantastic films lately, with, The Long Walk, the latest Stephen King adaptation. I uploaded the video for that. Tremendous movie, and as well, another movie I just think is absolutely incredible is the new Paul Thomas Anderson film starring Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another. Extraordinary movie. Got to see that in the theater last weekend. So I'm always trying to stay current too. I'm always, there's still incredible things coming out all the time. And then I did a video which I just uploaded about this weird dilemma of like where we have this, well, at least it seems to be, and I think it's kind of true, but people are crying out for new ideas, and people are crying out for new, fresh films, movies that are not, say, an IP tied to some big, comic book franchise, or tied to some big established character or film. And people say, a lot of people in the industry say, well, people are tired of seeing these kind of rehashed ideas over and over again, and to a degree, certain studios playing it safe, which is true. And then when you have films which I think are incredible, just awesome, like The Long Walk. Even I saw Weapons this year, which was a really great film, and also, especially, One Battle After Another. Those movies have made a lot of money, but you feel like, okay, well, where are all of the people supposedly out there in the World Wide Web, or just in the world in general, that are begging for like new, fresh ideas when it comes to films? And why aren't these people going and supporting these movies? And there's this weird hypocritical thing that happens, but I think in some ways it's a little bit more complicated than that, because I think with Paul Thomas Anderson, he's got this very niche market. He doesn't make commercial films, so it's not really. It's a different kind of thing, but still, I think that's a big factor as to like, okay, what's going on here? Why aren't people supporting it? And I think, when I break that kind of analysis down, or that mindset, or that kind of debate, I see it a lot in music. I see it all the time, but whereas like, you know, there's a local venue here in Maine. I don't really want to name names, but there's a local venue in Maine here, which is an extraordinary place. I've been real fortunate to play a ton of gigs there the last 2 years, and it's kind of it's for what it is, with the setup, the way bands are mostly treated, the food that's available at this venue, the stage, the sound, the music, the lights, everything, all of the variables, I think, to me add up to like, this is the perfect venue. It's, and it's a local venue, and I think it's, pound for pound, probably the best venue in the state. And it's the same thing where they have been successful in a lot of ways as far as getting turnouts for shows, but then they've also really, really struggled. And I think they still do struggle immensely, to the point of where I don't know how they're going to keep going. And I've been to so many shows there, and then I've also played a lot of shows there. And I've seen that happen countless amounts of times where certain shows, certain things, a lot of people show up. But generally, it's incredibly hard to get people to come and support that place. Once in a while, I'll see shows either that I've gone to or that I've happened to play at where a lot of people show up. But it's really few and far between. And I look at the same thing of there's this kind of consensus that you hear on social media or different platforms of like people saying, oh, we need a great music venue and we need this and we want like we want this like really perfect space for performance and to see concerts locally for all the local talent because there's an abundance of just incredibly talented musicians here in the state. So we need this space. We need that. And then we have that. It's there. It's accessible. It's there. It's for the most part promoted very well, all of their events. But yet those folks don't come out to it. Very strange to me. And it's the same kind of thing. So it's like, okay, folks, you're gonna, more or less complain, bitch and moan about needing something. Then that thing is provided, and then you don't support it. And I know it's complicated, but I think people are kind of hypocritical about things. And then the thing that happens, which really irritates me the most, and I hope, fingers crossed, this doesn't happen. You have a situation like this where this venue, like say they do close and they go away forever, and then it's a becomes a thing of a distant memory. Then there is this huge outcry from all people in the area about, oh, why didn't we, it's such a sad thing and why it went away and we had this beautiful thing and why didn't people support it and all this shit. And then it's like we're all of you folks in the first place to support this place. So it's really weird. It's a really weird time. But on a happy note or a very positive note, there are when it comes to films, I recently discovered a new filmmaker, um, and these guys are just absolutely incredible. Kind of blown away by it. I happened to come across this new film director who just finished up his first full length feature, and that is Curry Barker. He has this YouTube channel that I highly recommend. That's called That's a Bad Idea. If you look it up on YouTube, it's a YouTube channel. It's run by these young guys primarily. Most of the content, there's a lot of shorts. There's a lot of comedy skits, but they're also very much steeped in making these really short horror films. And they're primarily directed by Curry Barker. And I just finished a show where I reviewed and talked about a film that he did about a year ago, which is an hour. An hour. It's only an hour long, and it's called Milk and Cereal. And I was blown away by this guy. And he's like, I don't even think he's 30 years old. And I happened to discover Curry Barker through another YouTube guy that I watch where he had talked about seeing this new his first full length feature film called Obsession. That I guess just got picked up by fairly big distributor, and I fingers crossed that this movie will get a theatrical run. And I heard about this movie through Cody Leach's channel, and he had seen this movie Obsession, directed by Curry Barker, at Fantastic Fest, which is a really big horror festival where they primarily show and showcase independent horror films. And he raved about this movie. So I did some investigation, and I had heard that he had done, or that his whole thing was he's been doing all of these really short, 20-minute videos or little short movies basically, that are horror films. So the first one, and I had heard about Milk and Cereal, but I never actually watched it. And then after seeing this show, I was like, okay, I got to check this guy out. I got to, and I watched Milk and Cereal the other day. Actually, it was yesterday morning, and it's an hour, and I was blown away by it. It was incredible, and it's an hour, and it's so utterly original, so imaginative and fresh, and it's without a doubt a horror film. There's elements of a serial killer aesthetic. It's definitely a serial killer movie, but it also has a really cool slasher vibe. Also, highly imaginative, just awesome. So I just did a show for the channel, and that will be up pretty soon. And so lately, because I was really blown away by this short little film that he did, I was like, okay, I got to check this guy out. I got to check out Curry Barker. Who is this guy? And the people he works with, his partner, and I've been going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, seeing interviews with him, and where he talks about his channel, his YouTube channel, and kind of his whole thing. And I've just been fascinated, and just such an interesting discovery, such an awesome discovery. So then this morning, I saw on his channel he's got a bunch of other short little horror films. And so this morning I watched this one that came out in 2023, came out 2 years ago, and it's called Warnings, and it's a 19-minute, 20-minute short little horror film. And I have to say, I was blown the fuck away by this. This one, the stylistically, it's also very much a horror film. Stylistically, it's completely different than Milk and Cereal. Milk and Cereal is like more of a serial killer slasher vibe kind of a film. Um, but the main thing about that is it's a found footage movie or short movie. And anyone who knows or doesn't know what the found footage genre is, very much in step, with films like the Blair Witch Project, which kind of kicked off this whole kind of new thing, and like the VHS series. There's a bunch of found footage movies due to the massive popularity of Blair Witch Project. Before Blair Witch, there were films that kind of explored those kinds of things or that aesthetic, but that was the movie that really kind of ushered in this whole new style of filmmaking. And I'm a huge Blair Witch Project fan, and there are some found footage movies I do like, some I don't. But again, it's a massive genre now, so there's good and bad and everything. But there's some really great ones, and Milk and Cereal is definitely distinctly it's a found footage movie of where we're seeing the aftermath of this of these horrific um, series of events, and so we're watching the recordings, and so it's definitely found footage. The warnings, which I just watched this morning, that was directed by Curry Barker, and the other thing about Curry Barker is all of these things that he has online are all original. They're all from his warped brain. He's directed them, and with the partnership that he has with his channel and all of these things. it's all original, and it's all like it's not based on anything as far as I know. It's all from his imagination. And the difference stylistically, Warnings is it's again it's only 19-20 minutes, but it's a movie. It's a the quality and the whole kind of aesthetic with this it really does feel like a movie. And I was completely blown away by this. It's kind of got this. It's definitely a horror film, but it's got this incredible amount of suspense to it, atmosphere through the roof. The music for Warnings is absolutely incredible. It's super creepy, super twisted, kind of scary. It's a great thing to watch at 8:30 in the morning, starting your day. Um, the production value is fucking awesome, and I was blown away by it, and I'm like, wow. I almost, even though stylistically it's a different thing than Milk and Cereal, like because it's not a found footage movie, I almost like this even more. I was just like, okay, Curry Barker is for me now officially a guy to really keep your fucking eye on as far as if you love new fresh horror films, new fresh ideas, this guy I think is somebody to really seriously fucking watch. Like I'm amazed. Like Warnings is so it's so wild. Like because it's so minimalist. It was probably shot for a couple $100. The budget for Milk and Cereal, from what I read, was shot for $800 or $900, which is insane. This is like 20 minutes, and so again, it probably cost them like $100 or a few $100s to make, and it's incredibly short. But how they're able to do so much and tell such a riveting contemporary horror story for nothing and barely using anything. It's just wild. Like how they're able to pull that off. I can't believe it. And it's so packed with tension, suspense. The music is absolutely incredible. The cinematography, just fucking awesome. And it's so original and not predictable. There's not these like tried tropes of horror that you've seen a billion times. It's not predictable, super exciting, and it's generally scary and it's generally exciting. Yeah, just amazing. And I again, it's this is more Warnings is feels like a film. It's shot as a film, but it's a short. I can't recommend it enough. The cinematography is just so awesome, and there's certain camera angles in this little movie that are just like I was blown away by. Like the other thing that's really cool about this is it's the theme of this. It's a Halloween themed film, so it's like perfect to start watching now. Uh, yeah, so awesome, and I have been seeing that he has a bunch of other short films as well on his channel that I am really going to start diving into. His partner is Cooper Tomlinson, who is also the co-creative kind of genius, mad genius behind the channel. That's a bad idea, and the creative team along with Curry Barker. These guys are off the fucking charts. Came out of nowhere. So incredibly excited that I discovered these guys. I can't wait to check out the rest of their films. The other shorts that they have are about 10 minutes, some are 19 minutes, and I'm like, where the fuck did these guys come from? Like, and I don't know the ages of these guys, but I don't even think either of them were 30 years old. Like, it's just wild. Um, I've seen interviews with them, and they were talking about being really influenced by, you know, Ari Aster, and they talk a lot about Jordan Peele, Key and Peele, the comedy skit show, and also Jordan Peele. And these guys, I think they're on par with that. Like, as far as modern kind of contemporary directors that are really doing something new and fresh, especially taking the horror genre and doing something new with it and propelling it. Because I think, the horror genre itself and everything that entails is obviously alive and well. But and I, again, like I said in the beginning of the show, I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist, I guess. But I love the horror exploitation world more than any other style. I love all kinds of films. As you check out this channel. I review all kinds of movies. I don't like discriminate. It's like either something's really good or it's bad. I don't really care, what style, whatever it is. But we all have our things that we go back to for our source of inspiration, and horror is my thing, and especially when it comes down to like low down and gritty and dirty exploitation movies. I just love that world, and I've always described that kind of fascination and love as like I a couple of years ago I was interviewed on a podcast, and I remember the interviewer had asked me, "Oh, what is it about these like cheaply made, low budget, grimy movies that why do you love these movies so much?" As opposed to like, maybe saying that you're more of a big Hollywood movie guy. And I said, for me, it's like I love the grittiness. To me, it's like putting on a really raw ass punk rock record. It's just kind of nasty. Um, and they're just kind of going for it. It's guerrilla style, and I just love that aesthetic. And I think Corey Barker and these guys are part of that world because they are truly fucking independent filmmakers, doing these incredibly wonderful and just highly creative projects for no money, no backing. They're just doing it, and it's like crazy. And to me, it fits into that world. And the other thing that I love about these shorts is they are incredibly raw. I saw an interview with them, and they were talking about when they do, and they're also their background is acting, so they star in every one of these movies, which is insane. And then they also direct them, and then they write these stories and screenplays, which is insane. And so they're able to pull off all of this stuff. They do everything. They edit all of these videos, they direct them, they star in them, they score the music. I mean, crazy how they're able to pull all these things off, like wearing multiple hats. And their background primarily is as actors. They both met in L.A. Uh, basically at this acting school, and then they dropped out after a year and decided to start making these videos. And then fast forward a few years, they were getting a huge following, and then they were able to make a living just off of making all of these skit videos. And their work ethic is fucking insane. Like they are literally making videos every day. Yeah, it's insane. It's like, where do these guys come from? Um, and this just makes me so excited to check out what this movie is going to be, which is called Obsession. There's no release date. It has been playing at a handful of fairly big film festivals, and the word on the street is that this movie is just like the best thing going. So I can only imagine what these guys can do. I've seen interviews with them too, and they said that this movie, they actually had a budget, like a big budget, fairly big budget. And I heard that a few weeks ago they got picked up by, or they got offered by a fairly big studio to get their film distributed. So that's very exciting. But I'm like, wow, these guys can make a movie for like a couple $100 for, and the movie's only like 20 minutes long, and just like knock it out of the fucking park and then some. So imagine what these guys will do with like a little bit of a bigger budget and they can make a full length feature. Like, holy shit. Warnings. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I almost enjoyed this even more. I actually did. As great as Milk and Cereal is, again, it's hard to compare it because it's a different genre. One is they're both shorts, but one is a theatrical film experience, and the other is a found footage experience. So stylistically, it's very, very different. So it's hard to compare. But the actual experience, I think, Warnings is just like, okay, I am gonna watch everything that these guys have done. So yeah, extraordinary shit. What a fantastic discovery. So stay tuned. There's gonna probably be some more Curry Barker films coming your way because I can't get enough of these guys. And what a fucking fantastic discovery. I almost would say at this point, again, it's a brand new thing for me, a whole new thing of discovery for me. That's the thing I love about doing, being a collector. And one thing about doing this channel, but I have like bought and discovered so many amazing directors, and I've seen some amazing films for the first time. I've taken big chances as far as being a collector, as far as buying movies cold, like movies I've never heard about, and I've just been always blown away by it. And that leads because of my real deep curiosity of what's out there, because there's so much. Discovering these guys, holy shit! I mean, I really think that these guys could be the new face of horror. I think that they have such an imaginative um, process of bringing new and fresh ideas. They're able to do so much for so little, which is just crazy. Like, literally, give these guys a camera and a room, and like, I can only imagine what they can come up with. They're able to do so much for so little. They are truly guerrilla making, filmmakers in the guerrilla style of filmmaking, like just making it happen. And they're just doing it constantly. They work their asses off, and you see, like, again, I've been watching interviews with them and seeing interviews of their work, and they talk about their work ethic. Unbelievable, really inspiring too. Really, really inspiring. So yeah, Warnings. It's the shit. Thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.